It's been a terrible week for Marks and Spencer. Plummeting sales led to a profits warning and to the sacking of food boss Stephen Eason, and a quarter of the company's value was wiped out in just one day. So there's plenty for us to talk about in our first TGI Friday. My name is Tim Danaher and I'm the editor of the Retail Week, and every Friday I'm going to be joined by Deputy Editor George Macdonald, and we're going to discuss the week's events in retail.
So, George, Stuart Rose reckons it's 40% M&S's fault, 60% the market's fault, M&S's problems in food. What do you reckon? I think it's probably more like the other way around.
Well, I go with Rose actually. You know, when you've got people like Lord Harris, who's been in retailing for 50 years, and he says he's never known it so bad, you know, it is awful out there, and M&S potentially could have done a lot worse.
Well, I can see that one in clothing, where the performance is pretty much in line with the market. But if you look at food, you've got Sainsbury's recording 3.5% like-for-like growth and getting a pretty hard time about it. Then M&S is down 4.5%. That's even with all that inflation that's in food at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, food is an absolute catastrophe. There is no excuse for that, and it's hard to understand why it is so bad. There must be really serious problems there. Well, obviously they've got rid of Stephen Eason, so hopefully John Dixon, the new guy, is going to make a better job of it.
Yeah, I was on the papers yesterday. We're making out Eason to be a bit of a fall guy, but I'm not so sure. Yeah, he's obviously got it pretty badly wrong there. So Rose probably didn't really have any option, did he?
I don't think so. I mean, Stephen Eason's been there a year, but if you think of the pace of change in M&S Food over the last few years, it does seem to have slowed down a bit. You know, there isn't quite so much innovation. You know, maybe their food isn't as good against, you know, Tesco's premium or other supermarkets' premium as it was. Certainly some of it does seem too expensive. Yeah, I think they've just lost the plot.
I mean, the pricing I find that going to M&S is absolutely staggering. You know, I don't normally notice the prices on shopping in at Tesco or Sainsbury's or whatever, but the prices does seem quite out of kilter with the market. So I'd be interested to see what John Dixon does and whether he takes a more promotional stance. Now, our friend Richard Fletcher on the Telegraph yesterday said that Rose had lost his credibility with the city. What do you think? Do you think he's damaged goods now?
I think his reputation has been tarnished. You know, he was a bit like the JFK of retail, and you know, M&S headquarters was Camelot, and it isn't like that anymore. You know, Nick Bubb at Pally this morning said that he thinks there's a 40% chance that Stuart Rose could be pushed out. Now, you just couldn't conceive of that having been said a year ago.
It's astonishing how quickly it's gone wrong for him, isn't it? Yeah, he really could do no wrong. For quite a long time, he did a great job of the early stages of the turnaround of M&S, but I bet he's wishing he'd stepped down when the tide of going was still good.
Yeah, I bet he would have loved to, you know, leave with a knighthood on a high. You know, I think he will not leave willingly without having restored M&S to its original great fortunes. That's what he wants and would love to do. But you know, he's been diverted this year with things like the corporate governance row, and he's the great communicator in retail. I don't really understand how he seems to have lost his touch to such a degree in such a short period of time.
It's weird, isn't it? Because he's always been so sure-footed. He's a pretty smooth character, isn't he? And he always seemed to play the city and the press very well, and now it seems to be one catastrophe after another at M&S. So I suppose that's been the real dominant news of the week.
I'm still back Rose, I've got to say. He said on the call yesterday, I've been through a lot of recessions, and I think that's quite important, and I would still back him. I still think he's got it in him to make it great.
I think you'd be mad to write him off, because as you say, he's a great survivor, and also he's the only man who can get him out of the hole they're in at the moment. And if they, to have to go and look for someone outside, the upheaval would get very, very much worse before it gets better.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, there has been some good news this week, and we do like to focus on the positives as well as the negatives. So HMV had a good set of results earlier in the week, and Simon Fox is obviously doing a good job there. And then, of course, we had one of our favourite retailers game yesterday. Now, we always have this debate about game. We think it's the ultimate cyclical stock, and I think it's different. I just think it's a very good specialist retailer. Now, another great set of numbers yesterday, George. Can't admit it. I'm right about this one.
I'm almost ready to admit it. Not quite. I have been surprised at how they've managed to keep it up. Yes, they've been helped by fantastic product. but you need to be a good retailer, no matter how good the product is. If you don't retail it well, you're not going to do well. But at the back of my mind, I still think they are enthralled to product. And when the release schedule, dries up a bit, when it becomes a bit less exciting, they're going to go down as fast as they
can. George, it's different now. You go into game. It's not just your geeks in their, heavy metal T-shirts in there these days. You've got women in there. You've got men in suits in there. It's changed as an activity, gaming, so dramatically, and actually it's very, very well placed to capitalise on that. Stores are fantastically welcoming to all sorts of people. The staff are well informed. They're competitive on product. They've got a great online and international offer. They're really everything a specialist retailer should be, surely.
It's hard to fault them, but maybe they won't have it their own way for so much longer. Games are doing well, full stop. HMV did great on games this week, apart from anything else. Other people are seeing this great market and will try and eat a bit of games lunch. Having said that, they're the market leader. They're not going to lose that position, I don't think.
You're a hard man to please, George.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I'm pretty near giving in to you, actually, but not quite yet. Let's give it another 6 months or a year.
And the other bit of news yesterday, a bit of good news for the industry, is that the rescue of SCS, a company a lot of people had written off. Do you think there's light at the end of the tunnel for that business?
Yeah, I think there must be a bit of light, because that private equity firm, Sun Capital, that's bought it, would not have bought it at all if they couldn't see something that could be done with it. It was regarded as quite a well-run company. It's been really badly hit in this downturn, but nobody has said the management were a bunch of jokers and it was their fault. So, with proper, back on a firm financial footing, why should it not do well again? Maybe not immediately, but in a year or two, because obviously they were really badly hit by the withdrawal of credit insurance, etc. The difficulty is working capital rather than the fact that there is no business there.
I think the issue for people like SCS and Land Leather, though, is if they are going to prosper in the long term, I don't have to update what they do about it. They have a very traditional model of selling furniture, very, very price driven. They are so vulnerable to any sort of housing downturn. The new owners are going to have to look, once things are back on an even keel, how those businesses work and really bring them into the modern age.
I think that's true. They have only got one story really, and that's price. And even in this appalling downturn, when people are so price sensitive, that has not been enough. And you look at what some of the other retailers are doing, more at the premium end, they've actually managed to trade through the current problems much more successfully. So price on its own is not enough. It's the same as in value fashion.
Some positive news anyway to end the week with. So George, thanks very much, and I hope you've enjoyed the first TGI Friday. We'll be here every Friday doing our roundup of the week's events, so do join us next week. In the meantime, have a great weekend and thanks for watching.